nominate our conservative, we don't move to the center. We become, in fact, even more conservative, and we use issue ads to smear the Democrats as a bunch of neo-socialists. See it? In fact, what we do is we polarize the system even more. Okay? And these people start staying home, start staying home, start staying home. If we had strong political parties, I'm not saying this is heaven on earth. I know about damning all. But the Democrat, if we had the political parties nominating them, I would trust the self-interest of the political parties to say, we've got to nominate somebody that can appeal to the middle. Of all people, Karl Rove now understands that. Karl Rove is the one that's coming out, more than anyone else, Karl Rove is the one that's coming out saying the Tea Party is killing the Republicans. He's not saying that because he's a secret agent for the Democratic Party. All right? He's saying that because he wants to win elections. I'm willing to trust the self-interest of the political party machine. Then, if you want to get involved, then you get involved in parties. You get involved, you work your way up through the system. Yeah, that's the British system. All right, and then people get to choose. I mean, first you got to get Americans away from this notion of, oh, I don't vote for the parties, I just vote for the person. Well, when you do that, guess what? The person that you elect isn't going to call you, they're going to call the Political Action Committee. And furthermore, things are really desperate when I start to feel sympathy for John Boehner. Right? But he can't control his own party. What's he going to say? What's he going to say? I mean, you've got 40 Tea Party Republicans there that won't go along with you. What's he going to say? Go along with me or I'll cut off your campaign financing? They're going to look at it and say, I never got any campaign financing from you. They're going to say, well, go along with me or else you won't get to run as a Republican? They're going to say, I don't need you to determine who I run for. And what are they going to say? What are they going to say? Vote for me, or we'll run a moderate against you in the campaign? They're going to say, I'm not worried about moderate opposition. I'm worried about opposition from someone that's even further right-wing than I am.
So you're saying that if we made these changes, we wouldn't even have to worry about whether money is free speech or whether corporations are persons.
Exactly.
And it would be okay to contribute as much as you wanted to political parties. You wouldn't limit that.
But with the Supreme Court we've got now, any law that tried to do what you're suggesting would be called unconstitutional.
Well, I don't see anything unconstitutional about strengthening political parties. Political parties aren't even mentioned in the Constitution.
I know, but the things you have to do in order to strengthen them
we'd have to repeal FICA, McCain-Feingold, and substitute in. And then we'd have to do some other.
And the substitution is going to be declared unconstitutional. Because it's going to be working against the same principles that they declared before.
I think I understand. No, none of this has to do with whether or not corporations are people. Corporations can still be people. Corporations can still have rights. Corporations can still have speech. We don't have to. What's nice about this is none of it requires a constitutional amendment.
And like I said, you could give as much as you want. No problem with.
And you could require. I mean, in Great Britain, every union member is taxed by the Labour Party. And that money goes directly, I mean, you can opt out now, but that money goes directly out from your wages and it goes directly into the Labour Party. In Germany, they make no get out of it. The CDC, the Christian Democrats, they represent the big corporate interest in Germany. Corporations in Germany, they don't give their money to issue ads. Where do they give their money to? They give their money to the CDC. CDU, excuse me. Okay? Labor unions in Germany give their money to the Free Democrats. Here's two other suggestions. None of this, all this, however, requires that we also turn the Congress and turn the government of the United States into at least something that vaguely approaches democracy. In the Senate, we desperately need to eliminate the institution of the senatorial hold. Okay? This is very new. This is only like 15 years old. Now, I don't think you're going to eliminate the filibuster. You know what that is, talking the bill to death, all right? But damn it, if you want to filibuster a bill, get up and do it. In the past few years, 10, 15, they've had this notion of a senatorial hold, where a senator doesn't even have to filibuster. All he or she has to do is write a letter to the majority leader saying, I'm going to put a hold on this piece of legislation. And it cannot come up to a vote unless you get enough votes, 60, to pass cloture. That means that in fact 40 senators, and that 40 senators representing 20 states, which probably represents maybe 25% of the American population, can in fact block anything that goes through the Senate. I like the filibuster. I think if you're really passionate about an issue, a minority ought to have a right to talk it to death, or at least postpone it. But let's reserve that filibuster for very special occasions. Eliminate the Senate. And then in the House, the real problem is, in the House of Representatives, I mean, we have virtually no democracy there. 80% of the House seats in this country are non-competitive. They have been gerrymandered. I mean, I'm standing here in Asheville, North Carolina, and I can't tell you if I'm in the 11th or 10th district. Why not? Because the Republicans, when they got control of the North Carolina legislature, redrew the district lines to guarantee that all Western representatives were going to be Republicans, and they wanted to do something about the People's Republic of Asheville. All right. So what they did is they brought the 10th district over from Gastonia and came and cut Asheville in half, diluted that part of the liberal vote. Then they took the 10th district from Boone and over there and the western counties and got them the other half of Asheville. The district line, I mean, this is how petty it got. Warren Wilson, the most liberal guy, the House of Representatives dividing line goes right through the middle of campus. It's called computerized redistricting. I used to ask my students, look, take an average college junior take their computer skills, take a smart college junior poli-sci major, okay? And get the two of them together and say, look, we got 12 representatives districts in the state of North Carolina. I want you to draw them up so that the Republicans always win at least 10 or 9. How long would it take you? No. I've had comments like, "With lunch breaks a day and a half." Computerized redistricting, which gerrymandering according to race, the courts have ruled is unconstitutional. Gerrymandering according to political parties, the courts have ruled is constitutional. Okay? The solution to this, and I understand this doesn't have a snowball's chance at all, but it does not require a constitutional amendment. We need proportional representation for all states that have more than two members of the House. Okay? So it would work this way. North Carolina, okay? We now have strong political parties. The Democrats would nominate 12 members for the House of Representatives. Okay? Number one is the head of the party, number 2, 3, 4. The Republicans would also nominate 12 members for the House of Representatives. And the Libertarians get to nominate 12. And, please God, the Green Party gets to nominate 12. See
What
it?
constitutes a party then? I mean, what?
Anybody that wants, anybody, if you could, we could get together, okay? Probably we'd say you need 5% of the previous election or something like that, or so many signatures on a ballot. It would be hard to do. And we just put them on there. Then we have the election. You vote, now you vote for political parties, because that's where the power is. So the Democrats get 40% of the vote. The Republicans get 30% of the vote. Okay? The Libertarians get 5% of the vote until, whatever, 75. We'll give them 10% of the vote. And the Greens get 15%. Okay? Now, the Democrats get 4 of those 12 seats. See it? The Republicans get 30%, and we can adjust that around. And now you're rewarding third parties. You can have a multi-party system, because now the Greens can come in there and say, vote Green, we will do this, and we've got the power now. We will do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. We're going to enforce the Clean Water Act. Okay? We're going to put strict regulations on Collins Ford. The Democrats say to the Greens, "Oh, that's too much. You can't do that. You got to compromise. You got to join us, or else and the Greens are saying, we don't need to join you. It's not all or nothing anymore. We'll take it. We'll win our 4 seats, whatever. Then when we get down to Washington, and it's time to elect a Speaker of the House, and it's time to elect party chairman, guess what? You don't have the votes. You're going to have to come to us to get the votes to be a majority and get all that power. And believe you me, we're going to ask something in return. That's the way it works in Germany.
And
To a certain extent, I mean, we are the only country in the world that has this system. So I think strengthen political parties. I mean, obviously proportional representation doesn't work where you only have one member of the House of Representatives, and you can't really gerrymander when you only have 2. Okay, put all the Republicans in one district, then you're going to put all the Democrats in the other. But states, and I would like to know how many states have more than 2 members of the House. Probably a considerable number. Okay. Get rid of the whole. We can do that. We can do that the next opening session of Congress. Okay. The Senate votes on its rules, which is a simple majority vote. You can't filibuster the rules. You could change that. All it would ask is somebody to stand up there and say, "Do this, Democrats, or we're going to punish you." Kay Hagan ought to get asked what she thinks of that. Okay. This is tougher, but does not require a constitutional amendment. Voting rules are up to the states to decide. In fact, 2 states already have proportional representation. Maine has proportional representation. And I think, no, Colorado proposed it and voted it down, but I think there's another states. 2 states have proportional representation already. Okay. Strengthen political parties. And the essence of it all is to understand it is to have democracy, it seems to me, and a bunch of other people, you have to have responsible government. You have to know who's making the decisions. Yes? And to have responsible government, to have democratic government, you also have to have accountable government. You must be able to reward and punish them for the decisions they make. Under this system, elected representatives are completely unaccountable to the people. They're not accountable at election time. They're not accountable afterwards. I mean, those corporations spend billions and billions of dollars on a lobbyist. They're not fools. They're getting something for their money. And what they're getting is the government of the United States. And they know, I mean, they'll tell those members of Congress, you know, vote our way and there'll be issue ads coming out. Don't vote our way. You know, we can hold you. Who owes, I mean, political parties can't hold elected representatives accountable. The people can't hold elected representatives accountable. Who holds them accountable? And there's a name for a system where it's ruled by the rich, and it's not called a democracy, it's called a plutocracy. For the last, ruled by the plutocrats, for the last, 5, 6, 10 years of my teaching career, I quit. You know, when I was teaching American government, I quit teaching that this is a democracy. I just could not stand hypocrisy anymore.
So you don't think it would do any good if either the move to amend ended up with a constitutional amendment that said that free speech does not include giving money, or corporate free speech does not include giving as much money as possible, or if there was a Supreme Court decision that overturned it and ruled that it wouldn't do that much good anyway.
But I don't see how, because I think Alito and Scalia are essentially right. Spending money is free speech. I mean, I give money to Karen, not as much as she'd like. But why do I give money to Karen? I give money to Karen because I want her to spend it. And what do I want her to spend it on? I want her to spend it on putting out the message of Riverlink. Right? I mean, I'm all in favor of free speech. And I'm in favor of, you know, I'm sorry, Karen, I can't give you a check for $50 million this week, but
Next week will do.
I mean, that's the problem, the logic of it. Now, if I have an alternative, one thing you can say is, maybe we could say this: yes, corporations are people, or I have personhood.
But they're a weird person. They're a different kind of person.
Yeah. I mean, just like for instance, we say human beings under the age of 18 are people. Some of them. They have rights, some rights, but they don't have the same rights as adults. They can't sign a contract. They can't vote. Okay? Just because you have rights doesn't mean you have all the rights. So maybe you could say, look, yes, corporations are people. Yes, corporations have standing. Yes, corporations can sue and be sued. Corporations have procedural rights. They have rights in court. But they don't have substantive rights. They don't have freedom of religion. They don't have freedom of speech. Corporate speech is not speech. Boy, I can hear Scalia tearing into me on that one.
So maybe that would help. If that happened.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I mean, that's about as good as I can get. And I'm not very confident. I'm not very confident at all, because even I recognize, man, that's the thing.
But maybe just as much chance as proportional voting, you said that didn't have a chance.
Yeah. Maybe something to do, something to strengthen political parties. I think, you know.
Couldn't you just do away with I'm just thinking out loud, I never thought really about this. You do away with the political primaries, and you campaign finance. Everybody, you run in for the House, you get this much money. And we
Who gets that much money?
You run for the House.
Oh, the candidates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all get $20.
But who gives you that money?
The government. It would be cheaper for us as taxpayers to pay for the elections than to suffer the consequences of allowing unfettered funds to decide.
It would be cheaper.
It would be less expensive.
But it would be less expensive, but my qualm, I guess, with your system is, what does it do to political parties? If you're getting your money directly from the government, all right, and not through political parties, then I mean, I want to that strengthens the government. But what does it do to political? Who decides who would run? Who decides who would get that money?
Well, you know what?
I mean,
who decides now? I mean,
now
I could sit down and pay $50 and
yeah, and get the. And I mean, now All you have to do is, most elections most candidates are decided by the primaries. See, I want to eliminate the
Alright,
primaries.
so we get rid of the primaries, everybody runs.
We get rid of the primaries, and the candidates that run are determined by the political parties. This is a return to Jacksonian democracy, which I understand. Tammany Hall, there was a lot about it that was corrupt, but it's time to go back and revisit it. I mean, I know when I was growing up, who got to run for the House of Representatives, or who got to run for the General Assembly? The long-time party workers. You worked your way up from the system. I was 20 years old. And I'm driving around the car, taking voters back and forth, and and getting my little card checked. Good, Frankie, you worked 3 days for the Democratic Party. And the guy I worked for, his father, I won't say who his name is just because it sounds like John Delaterio, but his father was the local party boss. And we worked for him, and he delivered the district. By the way, guess what it did to voter turnout? We had like 90% voter turnout in our district. Why? Because we're pounding on the door. Let's go. Get out there. I'm too busy. Well, we'll come back again. We had high voter turnout. All right? And if the Democrats won that district, and they always did, the people of that district knew who to go to. Mr. Delaterio, my Social Security check didn't come in.
Was he an elected official, or he was a party boss?
He was a party boss, and then, of course, when there was an opening in the House, State House, boom, he went and ran for the State House. John, my buddy, went to work for Campbell Soup for 30 years. And one of the nice things about Google, you can find out what your old classmates are doing. And guess what he's doing? He's an advertising consultant for Obama. Yeah. Why? Because he worked his way up through the system. He proved his loyalty, and he got rewarded. He was accountable. Now, I think that there were issues of corruption there, and, maybe some public disclosure.
As long as we're spending all our time doing this, candidates are never forced to talk about the issues. They're only forced to talk about what a creep the other guy is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm philosophically opposed to that.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear what a creep your opponent is. I want to hear what it is you're going to do to make a difference.
But the other thing I wanted to get, and the other thing, but it was like, I don't care about you, because you don't have that much power even anyhow. What party do you represent? What principles are you going to stand for? And how are you going to get something done? Right now, they can sit there and they can promise you anything that you think you want to hear, because nothing holds them accountable. And what the biggest problem is, every time I hear an American say, oh, I don't vote for the political party, I vote for the individual, I cringe. Well, guess what? You don't vote, you just vote for the individual? This is the system you get. A system where individuals can lie to you, and even if they tell you the truth.
Well, so you're saying straight party voting creates an atmosphere where people don't lie?
No, straight party voting creates an atmosphere where people are held responsible. Where people, the conservatives in Canada, God, it's been 20 years now, said, vote for us, and we will bring Quebec into this union. We will get Quebec to sign the Constitution. We will have a Meech Lake Accord. We guarantee we will do this. So the Canadians voted in the Conservatives by like 60%. And for 4 years they fought that Meech Lake. I was living up on the Canadian border at the time, fascinated with it. And the Meech Lake Agreement fell through. The Conservatives did not deliver on their promise. And the next election, the Conservatives got 2% of the vote. They lost their status as a major political party. They were punished by the Canadian people for not carrying forth on their promise. Barack Obama promised we were going to have a public option on health care. I wanted a single-payer system. Definitely I wanted some way to regulate costs. And what do we get? We get this crap called Obamacare, where 20-year-olds are being forced to carry the burden of the 70-year-olds. And you think they're resentful? You know, you ought to be. It's a major, Obamacare is nothing but a major boon to the private insurance companies. If you don't believe me, look what happened to their stock once it was passed. He had a majority in the House. He had a majority in the Senate. He had made promises to America for a public option. Which I mean, you know, I didn't want a public option. I wanted just take, you know, just take Medicare. That's my health plan. Take Medicare and make it applicable to everybody. That's what Medicare is. It's a single payer system. You get to pick what doctor, yada yada yada, and Medicare pays. And you tax workers, you taxpayers. Well, and I was, you know, I was willing to compromise. Maybe that was my mistake, and say, okay, I'll settle for a public option, figuring that it's going to become Medicare pretty soon. And we didn't even get that. So, who do I hold responsible? Who do I punish? I'm pissed.
You go punish the insurance company. You go.
I can, well,
Don't pay your premium next month.
well, I don't pay a premium. I've already, but no, see, I like my system. I don't pay insurance premiums. I'm on Medicare.
But you don't
I
pay
pay-
a premium, then you go to the doctor and you don't get treated.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean, yeah.
Who'd you punish?
I would much rather, now, if I had, I would like a public option. I mean, you know, I correct that. I have a private insurance company. Humana is my prescription plan B. And I pay them, they're okay, you know. I wouldn't mind seeing, first of all, what the executives of Humana are making. And secondly, I wouldn't mind having a public prescription plan that I could also pay premiums
What?
to.
You take congresses.
George Bush says we have a public option. You go to the emergency room.
And he's absolutely right. And he's
That's it.
absolutely right. And what does the emergency room do? The emergency room doesn't cure you. The emergency room, and ask any emergency room doctor, what they do is they, quote, stabilize your condition.
And send you back to your.
And what does stabilize your condition mean? It means they get you so that you can walk out the door.
And you spend a lot of money.
And you walk out the door, none of the causes have been treated. And so what happens? 2 weeks later, you're back in the emergency room. That's why America ranks #1 in the world on spending on health care, and like number 16 in the world on health of its citizens.
But Boehner says it's the best system in the world.
Yeah, and there's not a shred of evidence to support that. Now, I'm not in favor of socialized medicine. Socialized medicine is what they got. I mean, we have socialized medicine in this country. It's called the VA. I mean, that hospital out in Oteen is owned by the federal government. All those doctors work for the federal government. They're federal employees. That's socialized medicine. And for veterans, I don't know. Single payer system is what Canada's got. Okay?
Just build the government.
Bill the government, which the doctors would love. Bill the doctors, pay into it over your life. And I like this about Medicare too. It doesn't give everybody everything they want. I mean, my mother, rest her soul, my mother got a pacemaker put into her heart 5 days before she died of lung disease, which cost like $60,000. What was the point of that? My father was told he needed knee transplants at 95 years old. I mean, I think Medicare should pay for basic health care. 80% of other. And if you want something more, I agree. If you want something more, go out and buy a supplemental policy. All right? Go out and get a prescription drug benefit. Go out and get. I can't afford a supplemental policy, but Judy's parents have supplemental. Get Medicare and supplemental policies. That's a good system. you can control costs because you don't give everybody everything they want.
Yeah, but the supplements won't pay if Medicare hasn't.
Oh, yeah.
They
I
have
mean,
to
yeah,
set it
Medicare is gonna be the first resort. Medicare is gonna be your basic
So
resort.
it's not a system where if Medicare doesn't pay for it, then you can get it from
Yeah,
the
yeah,
supplement.
yeah,
It would
right,
have to be
right,
set
right,
up differently.
Right, but what we can have is, and this is what I want, we can have a basic healthcare system that guarantees every American some level of healthcare. Now, I don't wanna pay to give some 80-year-old woman breast implants. All
Oh,
right?
come on, Fred.
Well, I've been through the 80-year-old woman, is right.
Wait till he's 80.
Shame on you. I can't beat that comment, I quit. Thank you, that was fun.
Thanks.
So next month,